Hi, this is Trinisha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about underestimating. So, what made me think about underestimating is I had quite an eventful last few days of my life. And it's so funny because you, I always say this, but it's so true. You can never, ever figure out what it is that God is planning for your life. You will never be able to guess how God's going to move in your life, what he's going to move in and out of your life, what he's going to do that's going to benefit your life. And it's like I could think of so many different scenarios. I could have some kind of scientific device that tries to like determine the different obstacles or courses that I'm going to go in my life, things that will happen in the future, like the trajectory of the determination of my entire life, and I could never, ever fathom how God is going to move in my life or who he's going to bring into my life or move out of my life. And I know I always talk about appearance. Like I did put on some lip gloss that's like tinted, but I haven't done any makeup or anything. So this is like a natural face. So bear with me. But no, I don't have any issue wearing makeup. Sometimes I feel like wearing it because I'm just like, oh, I just want to wear makeup because I want, like my lashes to pop or, to outline my eyes or something like that. Just just because, not for like the fact that I need it or anything. I just like to wear it occasionally just to like emphasize my eyes or something. Not that I got to explain myself, but I just like doing different things, and it doesn't have anything to do with like being on the video and appearance. Like when I look a mess, I mean, we're all beautiful to God. What I mean is like when I'm a little more like less polished because I just threw my hair in a quick ponytail or I just finished working out or something, it looks a little different. But but that doesn't mean that I'm not still beautiful to God or whatever else. It's just that it's a different type of me. And so I just want to throw that out there. And so it's it's just God always amazes me. And I say that, and I know some people are going to think it's over the top, but seriously, since I've been fasting and trying to grow my relationship with God, it has been making me so much clearer. Like in my mind, I feel like I can concentrate better. Like my mind is still going 100 miles a minute. Like I still have several things that, like I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to make sure I can do this. I have this idea for my business. And like I just got this shirt in for my business. It's a QR code for all of my social media sites. And I'm going to be doing a parade this weekend where my business will be in there. And I'm just going to do it so that people are more aware of it. And anybody that needs like life coaching or that needs a mentor or needs a speaker, or if there's things in the community that I can help in by like being of service, I want to be there and do whatever it is that I can do. And I know I can't be everywhere, but I do want to make my life count, and I want my legacy to be amazing. Like I want God to use me for everything. Whatever it is that he intends to use me for, I want to be used for. I don't want my life to be in vain. I don't want to just walk around with a meaningless life and not impacting anyone or showing generations that come behind me that things aren't possible, and to let them know that no matter who they are or what they've done in the past, they can do anything. And I really truly want every person to believe in themselves and to know that it's possible. And sometimes we feel like because of our past or because of the mistakes we made or the type of person that we used to be, that God can't use us or that we can't be an inspiration to other people. But your story, your past is exactly what makes you who you are. And it's exactly what God will use to benefit the kingdom. And so I want every person to feel like no matter who they are, no matter what they've done, even if you haven't really done anything in your life and you might have thought a few bad things or something, even your life, there's going to be people that have went through the same journey as you, and your story could be used as well. This isn't it has to be a tragic event in order for you to impact someone's life. Sometimes just you being caring and compassionate and really being able to understand and not prejudge someone else is exactly what someone needs to feel heard and seen. And so you never know how God is going to use you. Or if you didn't have some sort of past, which most people do, it could be cooking. It could be any kind of gift or skill that God's given you. And that might be the way that you touch people's hearts. That might be something that you use that impacts or influences someone else. You could be a stay-at-home mom, and the child that you're raising could change the world. Like, you just never know how God's going to use you. And since I've started this path, every day I feel like my vision is clear. And I know that probably doesn't make any sense to a lot of people, but every time I fast, I feel like my faith is stronger. And this is exactly what I needed in this season of my life, especially in the waiting period. I did not want to get weak and allow Satan to walk into my life and to take over it, or to make things seem enticing, or to tempt me with things that used to satisfy me in the past. I wanted to make sure that I was strong enough to keep continuing on the path that God set forth in my life. I want my relationship with God to be so strong that no matter what comes my way, He will be able to see me through it, no matter what it is. And I know it sounds like extreme, but I know me. I know what I can handle. I know when I'm starting to feel weak, like mentally, physically, emotionally. I can tell when there's something that's not where it needs to be in my life. And I don't want to ever get to a point where I feel like something's too small for God, or too big for God. I know He can handle any situation. And I used to think, well, this isn't that big of a deal. I can handle it on my own. But do not ever be afraid or too proud to ask God for help, because He's there to help you. He wants you to need Him. So whenever you're going through something, even if seems like something that's so minuscule, don't ever feel like God will not care about your situation. He cares about you. He cares about everything about you. He created you. So it's nothing that you can go through. It's nothing that you could do, or anything that could bother you that could seem like it's really not that big of a deal. But to God, it matters. And He knows that it matters to you. It might be something that might not even affect God at all, but because it matters to you, He cares about it. And so it's just the way that God has been moving the last few days of my life is incredible. There have been opportunities that have opened up for me that I would have never, ever had imagined I'd be able to get. And it's some of the things that I've been going through in my life have been so, so different. It really is something different when you can have God in your life. And it's, I don't know if it's going to be like off a little bit or what, because I had to step away and do some things, because I'm doing other things while I'm doing the video as well. So so I know I was talking about how you should never underestimate how God's going to work in your life, because I could never ever predict what God is going to do or how He's going to do it in my life. And He is so amazing. Like, every time I think about God's goodness and His grace and His mercy that He had for me throughout my entire life, like when I was making all of these terrible decisions, when I was making mistake after mistake after mistake, He was still there with me. He still graced me through it all, and He's just so good to me. And it's crazy, because I always thought I'd never be able to say that about anything. And and I have people in my life who are really great people. So it's not to negate the significance that they've had influencing my life. It's just that God is unlike anything I've ever imagined in my life. And His goodness, His grace, His mercy, the things that He does in my life on my behalf, like I couldn't do anything near what God does in my life without Him. Like, the things that happen in my life, the things that are good, the things I'm being blessed with, is nothing that I could have done on my own. Like, I couldn't be in this house without God. I couldn't be in the car I'm in without God. I couldn't. It's opportunities and things that He's allowed for me to do in my life that without Him I wouldn't have been able to do. Like, I got the opportunity to do something that I've always dreamed of doing in the past few days. And every time I always tear up every time I talk about God, but it's just, I never expected. I never think about being able to have those things in my life or to do those things in my life. And although I know God is a God of abundance and He really does truly bless His children and He really does do things for you that you could you couldn't even fathom how it's just oh my gosh, it's so hard to explain because you really have to be there to know how good He is. You really have to have God in your life to feel the blessing, the joy, the peace, to have the blessings in your life. Like sometimes you can do good things and you get good things, and that's just you doing good and getting good. But it's something about having God in my life that's totally different. It's unlike anything I could have ever imagined, anything I could have ever dreamed of. Like let's say for example, I said, when I get older, I'm going to be blah, and I'm going to do this, this, and this. You know how you have like this dream or this thing, this plan for your life of how you want your life to go. And life happens and it goes like a bunch of different directions. And it's like, even when I was a child and I imagined what my life was going to be like at this moment, I would have never been able to come close to what God has done in my life. Even though I know how good God is, it still amazes me how He works in my life, how He works things out for my good, how He works things out for my benefit. And even though I made several mistakes, even though I'm not perfect, He still uses me. He still blesses me. He still moves people in my life that are supposed to be there and out of my life who shouldn't be in it. He still, even when I'm being hard headed and I just can't understand why I can't do blah, I know that whatever it is that God has planned is way better than anything I can come up with any day. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. Like, usually, if it doesn't make sense, it's probably God, because He makes things happen in a way that you can't explain it. I don't. I don't know how to explain that situation, but it's kind of like, so like, let's say when I was a kid, I said, I want to be doing something that I love, and I want to help people, and I want to be married and have two beautiful kids or something like that, or whatever, or, healthy children, whoever, however many kids God blesses me with. But I want to have a healthy child, healthy children, whatever. And I want to be the type of parent who's understanding and who really does listen. Like, I don't want to just be the type of parent who knows everything, because I'm still learning too. I don't ever pretend like, oh yeah, I know this and this, this and this. Like, even sometimes when my daughter says things that make sense, if she figured out a better solution for something, or if something is easier for her and it's easier for both of us, I'm not going to say no because you're a child and we have to do it this more complicated way. That makes no sense. Obviously, it's a good idea, so I'm going to listen to it, and that's probably going to be what we do, especially if it's something that's benefiting us both. I'm not going to pretend as if I know everything and like it has to be my way or the highway because I'm the parent. Like, some things, yes, it's for a benefit, and because sometimes your kid does have to hear the word no, because you can't just tell them yes to everything. But if it's something that's mutually beneficial, if it's something to where it makes my child feel better, then I will do that. I'm not just going to give her everything. I will give her the things that she needs and some additional things, especially when she's doing well in her out of school activities and things like that, and she's really focused on her studies and stuff like that, I don't mind doing those things. But I also want to make sure that even if her grades are well and she's doing good in other activities, I still want her to have good manners. I still want her to be a good human being. I don't want her to just be nasty to everyone with good grades or something like that. I want her to be well-rounded. And I know she's not going to be perfect, but I also know that I can't reward bad behavior at all. So it's just a balance. It really is, because no matter what, I could plan things and it's not going to go the way that I intend for it to go. There's always going to be something different. And so my plan was that. And what God did, like, like I might have planned, oh yeah, I'm just going to be in a career that I like and I want to help people. God will take it and be like, this is the career you're going to be in because you love math or something. And although you could have never thought of as a child this being a position, I created this position just for you. And you might have wanted to help people, but you didn't know that I was going to use you to serve in videos like this, or to have your own business where it's called First Love Yourself. And you're going to go through things that will help you to have self-love and self-care, and to show other people how to love themselves, and to be an example for younger generations or people that are my age or older. And you are going to tell people your story and it's going to really touch their soul. You're going to change lives and change the world. And you're really I'm going to use all of the things that Satan intended for bad, all of the mistakes that you've made in the past. I'm going to use all of that for my benefit, for my kingdom. And I would have never in a million years been able to guess that I would be doing this at all. Like, it's so amazing how he just has like this plan, this set plan for our lives that we could never, ever, ever plan. Like, if I had to think of how I wanted my life, it would have been it would have been selfishly, it would have been for my benefit, it would have been the way I wanted it to. I would have avoided all of the mistakes and all the journey and the trials and tribulations and things that I had to go through to get to this point. But the passion for what I do wouldn't have been there. The type of woman that I am today is because of the things that I did in my past, because of the type of woman that I was. And the fact that I know that I never want to be that person again is what keeps me moving forward. The fact that I have my daughter is what keeps me wanting to be a better person. Like, and I'm not saying I'm putting it all on her. I'm just saying that that's an extra added motivation that I have for my life. When I think of the things that I went through, it's like, I don't ever want to go through anything like that ever again in my life. And so every time I think about settling, or I think about seeing other people who are going through similar situations, instead of me being able to just prejudge them, or to look down on them, or to feel a certain type of way about them staying in a situation, I understand because I've been there. It's not that I'm like turning my nose up at someone because they're in a difficult situation that's hard to get out of. I know how that feels. I know it's not easy. So I'm not sitting there on a pedestal judging anyone. I'm at the same level of it as everyone else, and I'm here to help. Like, I just the way that he does things, it really does keep me humble. And I appreciate every second of it. I might not always understand, it might not always feel the best, but I know that God is working everything out in my favor. That even if I have to turn down something that looks good, it's for my benefit. Even if I don't get to just walk into another position, it's for my benefit. My waiting time is making me humble. It's making me more hungry. It's making me more motivated. It's giving me more ump. It's really, really giving me the extra, I don't know how to describe it, like the motivation, encouragement, that zeal that I have for it, that it's just that fire in me that helps push me forward, that helps me feel in the moment. It's like everything that I need is in that journey. Everything I need to learn is in the journey. If I had left the previous relationship and just jumped into another relationship like I used to do, I would have never healed. I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing because I wouldn't be believing in myself. I'd be too busy worried about what everybody else is doing, honestly. And I would like to sit here and pretend like, oh no, I would have totally been fine. No, I wouldn't have. I would have been, I would have been a hot mess. And I really wouldn't have allowed myself time to heal. I really would have just been doing what I wanted to do without thinking about how it was going to affect me in the long run. I would have just, it wouldn't have been a good, it wouldn't have been a good model for people coming behind me. They would have just thought that, okay, you leave one relationship and just go into another one. And most people do that because it's easier. It really is. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's not. When you just jump into another relationship, it's almost as if you don't have to think about all the pain that you went through. You don't have to think about the healing. You don't have to think about or feel that pain. You could just kind of bury it or cover it up and act as if it never existed. And although you will feel a certain type of way, it'll end up making its way into the new relationship. And that's one thing that I did not want for any new friendship, for any relationship, work relationship, whatever. I want to make sure that I'm completely healed before I enter into anything. I don't ever want to be the type of woman ever again who just hops from one relationship into another, or who doesn't allow myself the time to heal because it didn't help in the past. All it did was make me take all the energy from all those other relationships and bring it into the next relationship every single time. It wasn't that I was, you know, joyful or peaceful or, anything that I wanted to be. I was just a hot mess. It really was bad. And a lot of people do it because it's easy. It's easier to not have to face yourself, to not have to think of the things that you did wrong or the things that you accepted or the red flags that you missed or the things that you did in your journey or different decisions that you made and how you can make them differently or things that you can learn along the way to communicate better or to be a better person. Like those are things that I'm really grateful that I did this time. It was not easy. It was hurtful. It was a lot of pain. It was a lot of crying. It was a lot of just like it was a lot. And without God being there with me, if I had not rededicated my life to God and really put everything in God's hands, I don't know if I could have made it through the healing process because it was really difficult. It was, I mean, when you really have to look yourself in the mirror and say, okay, I did this, this, and this, when you really have to acknowledge your flaws, your faults, things that you need to work on, when you understand that you may have missed red flags or settled for things in previous relationships or you might have lowered your standards or not have had standards. It even allows you to see what standards are necessary. It allows you to see what it is that you truly want and not what other people had that you thought that you wanted or you thought was important that really weren't. They were just preferences. It really helps you see the areas that you need to grow in and where you could be better or what you already did right, but someone tried to make you feel badly about. It really helps you see what a glimpse of what God sees in you. And when you hop into another relationship, even though it feels good, even though it feels like it buries and it just covers up all of the pain and the hurt and you being able to have to think about losing someone or getting rid of someone or leaving someone or whatever else, you're not losing anything when the person wasn't for you in the first place. That's one thing that I really feel like every woman and man should know. It's not that you are losing anything. You may not be with that person anymore, but you haven't lost anything. You've gained knowledge, you've gained your self-esteem, you've gained self-care, self-love, you've gained a closer relationship with God, you've gained clarity, you've gained understanding, you've gained new communication skills or whatever other educational information that you've learned along the way. You've gained the peace that you never got to feel. All of those things are a gain. You learn something and you gain things. So don't ever feel like you lost something because you had to give something up. Sometimes, most of the time, the best blessings that you receive are from getting rid of things. Whether it's getting rid of that jealousy or insecurity or getting rid of that toxic relationship, it's all for God's benefit. It's all to make you into a better person. And I really hope that any person that is going through a breakup or that left someone or just got broken up with, I hope that you understand that it's not the end of the world. I know people say that and they really don't feel it. They just say it because they're like on a high horse and they are already in a relationship or whatever else, and they try to make it seem like they understand it's going to be hard, but really they don't understand the hurt that you feel. I understand the hurt that you feel. And I'm telling you, even though it's not going to be easy, it's going to be okay. And just focus on yourself. I know people say that and it's so annoying when you hear it and you're hurting. But honestly, focus on yourself. What is it that you like to do? What is it that makes you happy? What is it that you really want in someone? Don't just go by a cliche term like when I was talking about someone who leads. Make sure that you know what that means. It doesn't mean someone that leads you that doesn't even know who you are, that doesn't know your personality, so they're not going to know what you need from them in order to lead you. Someone who truly does have a direction for their life and can lead themselves, who is following God. And if they're following God, if we're both following God, that's what a good leader is to me, regardless if they know what it is that I need. We're not going to be able to coexist when we don't know each other. We will be just learning each other. So I think it's important for you to know what all of these things mean, to really look into it. Don't just go on this video and say, well, I want this because I said it in this video. Don't just go by all these other videos or society or something that's like a cliche term or a societal standards. Really dig deep and figure out what these terms mean, what it is that you really are looking for, what will really fill your soul. Because regardless of what anyone else wants, what you want is what will really matter and what will really make a friendship, a relationship, or a work relationship work. You really have to figure out who you are, and it's not going to be easy. There's going to be things that you liked when you were younger that you're not going to like now. There's going to be things that you need now that you didn't need back then. There's going to be, you might want a peace of mind over everything else. And in order to have that, you might have to have certain people in your life. You might not be able to just accept anybody anymore. You might have thought you wanted someone that was rough around the edges, but maybe you need someone that's more compassionate. Maybe you thought that you wanted someone who was brutally honest, but what you really need is someone to be honest in a respectful way. Things like that will really matter. And it's all about you having a standard for yourself, because people will treat you the way that you allow them to treat you. So if someone says something out of the way, rude and disrespectful to you, and you just let it go, that's going to be set the tone for how they talk to you for the rest of your life. Now, if someone says something and you tell them how it affects you and they respect you enough to understand that that's not how you want to be talked to, then maybe they will be able to say something honest in a respectful way going forward. I'm not saying that you need to make everyone into a clone of this dream person that you have in your mind, because no one's going to be perfect. There's no ready-made person. Every person's going to have an issue, a problem, or something that they're going through. Just know that it's not a huge red flag or something that is so detrimental to your life or something that's going to take a piece of you away just by being with them. Make sure that it's someone who, let's say they're a decent guy who works hard and doesn't have a lot of money, but he treats you really amazing. Are you going to let the fact that you want someone who's rich keep you from this amazing guy? Or are you going to give him a chance because you see that with his work ethic, he could be anything? Like, what is it that you really truly want? Do you want the money or do you want the man? Do you, and I know some people are going to say, well, I want both. You might not be able to get both if you didn't help him create it. I'm just saying. And so, I mean, who knows what will happen in your life. But for me, what's the most important is someone who truly hears me. Like, are they really listening to what I'm saying? And I don't mean that pretend listening, like, oh yeah. And then like the first couple weeks you understand, you listen to what I say that I like or something. And then all of a sudden you got amnesia. I mean, like really listen, like really see me. And not everyone's going to be able to do that. People are going to be able to pretend all their life, but no one can keep that up forever. So eventually people will be who they really are. So someone who truly is in their core a good person matters more to me than anything else. So, no, I got a little off course and I'm going to try to make this really, really short because I want to make sure that the video isn't so long that you're like, ah. If you have to, with some of the videos, just pause it, do something, and come back because sometimes you need to just let it soak in and then continue on or whatever. And I'm not trying to tell you what to do. You know what works for you. So, in conclusion, when it comes to your life, know that God, whatever God has for you, is going to be unlike anything you could ever imagine. You're not going to be able to plan it. You're not going to be able to, you may have an inkling of what it might be, but you're not going to know how it's going to happen. It's going to be so many, God's path is like this. I had a conversation with one person before, and we were talking about how people always say that God's plan is like this, and ours is like we try to do this, and God is like having us go all these different ways. And I said, I really believe that God's plan is like this, but we go our own direction. We're the ones that try to say that we want something that we know isn't for us. We're the ones who try to do something a different way because we think it's going to be easier. We try to take the shortcuts instead of staying on the course, staying on the path that God created for us already. He's already going before us, making a path for us. So every time we deter, every time we deviate from the plan, we are making we're making it harder on ourselves and we're making the path longer than it has to be. So really just trust in God and know that He got you. You will never underestimate God ever because He will show you what it is real quick. And I'm so happy that I'm fasting right now because I really feel like I have so much more clarity. And in the past, it's only been a few days, and God has already performed like 2 or 3 miracles in my life. And I know that sounds extreme and people don't understand, but seriously, I really felt like I didn't know how things were gonna work out, and God did it.